Hi everyone, this is Marianne and welcome to my channel, The Unplanned Life, where I plan nothing, but sometimes I am doing some kind of organizing or other. Today we're going to organize this hot mess. It's just a simple plastic bin that carries all my tools and supplies for crafting and doing DIY repairs and stuff. And over time, it has gotten so messy that recently it actually terrified me to have to go through this whenever I needed a brush or a piece of ribbon or a ruler or a roll of tape or something. Of course, this didn't start out like this. This used to have some semblance of order with the smaller items grouped together inside smaller plastic containers like you will see later, but over time, I don't know, I just started to throw things in here and the mess just grew and grew until I could not take it anymore. I swear, you guys, the last time I had to go to this bin for something, I had mild palpitations. This is terrifying to deal with. You have no idea. So, this mess had to be dealt with pronto. I took a deep breath and decided to face my fear. To organize everything that's in here, I decided to create categories, and each category will be contained in these plastic zippy bags that I purchased at Anjena Trading here in my city where I live. These are priced at 27 pesos, but I got the person with disability discount, so I paid only 23 pesos for each zippy bag. I picked just one color for all the categories. I tried to look for a gray version or a white version at least, but none were available. These bags are stitched on the two sides and folded at the bottom. They don't look very sturdy. I don't think they would stand up well if you keep bringing them around and opening and closing them several times a day, but for my purpose, which is storage, I think they will be enough for my purpose. The first thing I placed inside the zippy bag is in a category all on its own. This is sandpaper. I can't lump it together with other things because the surface of the sandpaper is a little bit destructive and I'm sure it will scrape the inside of this zippy bag, but I really just wanted the sandpapers contained and safely out of the way. I simply flattened them from the roll that they have been kept in for months and then put them in the zippy bag, labeled the zippy bag with a black marker, and then that's it. The next one is also in another category on its own because it's so annoying. I have about 4 rolls of this fishing twine, which I purchased when I wanted to use it for a project, which turned out to be a fail. I don't want to talk about it. It's so funny. And so now I am stuck with this and it gets into everything. The 4 rolls are still pretty much in their original packaging, which is just that paper tab holding each coil together. And as you can see, it took me a hot minute to disentangle the fishing twine from everything else that's in the box. This task was made even more difficult by some nylon twine that apparently was left loose inside the box, so I also had to deal with that. But eventually, the fishing twine was isolated and then enclosed in its own zippy bag with its own label. I have thought this through. Actually, I took an afternoon to decide on what categories I'll be having for this organization project and wrote them all down on a piece of paper that you can see right here. The next items I dealt with are these bottles of fountain pen inks that I no longer use and are actually posted for sale at Fountain Pen Palenque. I will leave a link to that post in the description box. I just put all of the bottles into the zippy bags, labeled the zippy bag, and then put everything aside. The next set of items are textile related or sewing related, like ribbons, garters, needles, and this giant roll of gray colored grosgrain ribbon that I also do not need. I purchased it online, and when it arrived, I realized that I picked the wrong shade of gray, so I also have it posted on Facebook Marketplace. This is 100 yards in case you're interested. At this point, I'm sure you can begin to see those round, see through plastic containers inside the storage box. That's my attempt at putting some semblance of order inside the box, but clearly those didn't work. They were too small, and I really don't get round containers for storage. I mean, they're okay for food, but I have always thought that storage boxes, like boxes that you use for storage, should have angles, like right angles, so that when you put them together in a line or on top of each other, they will all align with each other without wasting any space. But then again, these round ones were all I had available at that time, so I tried to make the best of it, which clearly didn't work. I just kept digging around the mess for other textile and sewing related items that I know are just there somewhere floating in the chaos. The next category are rubber stamps, stamp pads, and stamp pad inks. I'm realizing only now that I have several numbering stamps. I have been numbering the pages of my journals with these numbering stamps, and I have a video talking about the page numbers on my journals. I will leave a link to the videos below. These items went into their own zippy bag. I also have these paint brushes, by the way. It came in a set that I bought for 99 pesos at our local national bookstore. I use two of these brushes for my notebook making business, and the handles were too long. It was very inconvenient to use at that length that I decided to cut them. Here, let me show you. But the brushes will be dealt with later. As I went along, I kept finding more and more items that are related to rubber stamps and stamp pads, but when I have already placed all of them inside their own zippy bag, I label the bag and then put it aside, and I'm just so happy that I have all of them in one place already. I also found this short strip of nylon which had a needle stuck through it. This is funny. I think I found both of them lying around somewhere and didn't know what to do with them, so I just put them together and threw them into the box. So finally now I have the opportunity to put them in their proper places. After closing and labeling the zippy bag for the rubber stamps and stamp pads, the next category is measuring tools. I have a T-square, which apparently I have never used, plus a rather heavy L-square made of metal. I'm such a stickler for right angles. I always need to check if I'm cutting at an exact 90 degrees, which also explains why I always have a protractor with me. A small protractor is inside my Hobonichi notebook cover all the time, but the larger protractor is somewhere in this bin, and when I found it later on, I just added it to the contents of the zippy bag for measuring tools. And now come the tape rolls. I don't have too many of these, as you can see, but they are so bulky and I want to corral them into one space so that I can start using them all up one by one when I pack the handmade notebooks before shipping them out to customers. I also have a few washi tapes, which I hardly ever use, but sometimes I do use them, very rarely. They all went together into this zippy bag. Next come the glues. I have this hot glue gun and some bottles of Elmer's glue, which I use a lot of these days because of my notebook making business. I use these Elmer's glue a lot. I know there's a new variant like the extra strong one, and it is said to be working the same, except that it can bond leather. So I'm going to try that out one of these days, and I will have a comparison video up on my channel. The next category is a mixture of decorative beads, colored eyelets, and these shells that we use when we play sungka. I have a sungka video up on my channel. Please take the time to watch it. I know if you're a Filipino, you will get exactly what we're doing. I have not made the instructional video for it yet. My bad. I've just been attending to other things lately. I will upload that instructional video someday when I can. I don't know when though. I don't plan these things anymore. The next category would be the bookbinding tools and materials. Book rings are included in this category. I have been using these book rings a lot for the past several years to archive my personal sized planner pages, which you have seen a million times on my channel when I used to plan my life. I also kept finding even smaller items that should have gone into the other zippy bags, like these three metal thimbles right here, which I then placed into the zippy bag for the textile or sewing related items. As for the bookbinding tools, I have an unboxing video of these, which I will link below in the description box. I also included in this category the twine or the thread that I use and will use in the future for bookbinding purposes. But to contain these spools of nylon twine, I had to use some masking tape, or else the twine would create chaos inside the zippy bag, which is something I never want to encounter ever again. So I took some masking tape and wrapped up the spool to prevent the end of the twine from going anywhere. This black spool is also nylon twine, but it is too wide for bookbinding purposes, and I actually used it to sew the strap on my bag, so this one should go into the sewing and textile related zippy bag and not into this one for bookbinding tools. When all the bookbinding tools were in their own zippy bag, I closed the bag, labeled it, and then put it aside. The next category would contain more than one thing: Ziploc bags, zip ties, and cable ties. These are things that I use to help organize other things. I have a lot of Ziploc bags that I purchased from Daiso, and as I get closer to the bottom of the bin, I kept finding things that have fallen out of their original packaging, like these black zip ties, which I had to gather one by one, and then this screwdriver set, which had zero screwdrivers in it because everything had fallen into the bin. The screwdrivers had to go elsewhere, but the zip ties had to be contained in one place before I placed them inside the zippy bag. So I just put all of the zip ties of different colors and sizes into this plastic bag, closed the opening with some tape, and then tossed it into the zippy bag. The next category are items that cut. I have here my two different sized Fiskars Circle Craft punches, which I have used before for the Hyperdex and the Hyperdex Petite. I will link a review of this craft punch in the description box. I don't use them anymore, but I keep them because I might use them again someday for some reason other than the Hyperdex. I also have these replacement rotary blades for my Fiskars rotary paper trimmer. I purchased one set of replacement blades together with a paper trimmer when I bought it years ago. I think it was 2017, and I have already used up both of the replacement blades recently, but kept them in storage. Then, when I ordered a new set of replacement blades, the seller found out that she had the titanium coated ones in stock, so that's what I purchased. It's not the entire blade that's titanium, it's just the coating that's titanium, but it's supposed to make the blades last longer, which I can appreciate because I use my paper trimmer a lot now that I make handmade notebooks for other people. I also have this Exacto knife with a makeshift cover. The Exacto knife does not come with a cover for the blade, which I don't understand because the blade is so small and sharp and pointed, and I could accidentally stab myself with it so easily. So I found out I found this old rubbery type thing that is originally a pencil grip, and I covered one end with tissue and tape and then secured the other end to the Exacto knife with a rubber band, as you can see. Now the next category are craft related brushes. Here are the Zig clean color real brush pens that I used to use from my Hyperdex. I have a video of them in my channel, which I will link below, of course, but I don't use them now, but I want to hold on to them just in case. And I also found this pair of scissors that looks like a pencil when closed, I decided to use this one instead of the pink traditional scissors that I have inside my everyday carry bag, the clear plastic bag that I featured in an earlier video. So I put that pink scissors into the zippy bag for cutting implements. And as I was going through my Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, I found some pens that I no longer use. I don't know what to do with them. I have no plans to use them anymore. Maybe I will sell them in a D-stash, especially this Lamy All-Star. But the glass pen I will keep because I use them for swatching inks. Into the zippy bag went all of the brush pens as well as these very long paint brushes that you have seen earlier. Now we are about 1/3 into this task. By the way, the whole process took 1 hour and 20 minutes. Not very long, considering the mess that I had to deal with and the number of items that are on here, but please stay with me until the very end of this video. The next zippy bag is for hardware tools like this soldering iron, the screwdriver set, a couple of drill bits, some flat washers and nuts of different sizes. And wait, now this bulb here is a black light. I use it to see what I'm doing when I'm writing with my invisible ink called Noodler's Blue Ghost. I have a video of the Noodler's Blue Ghost on my channel and I will leave a link below, but this bulb is not going into that bin because I have nothing to protect it with. So this went into my top drawer instead and not into the bin or any of the zippy bags. The next category is the command hooks and adhesives. A bunch of them have also fallen onto the bottom of the bin, so I had to find all of them and place them back into their original packaging. Anything that had a command adhesive backing on it, like these leftover felt feet, also went into this zippy bag category. The next category pertains completely to pencils. I have a whole bunch of pencil grips of different colors, pencil leads of different hardness and different weights and brands and colors. I do plan to use these leads. I just don't like them all lying around when I'm not currently using them. And I also found more Ziploc bags at the bottom of the bin, which I of course placed inside the zippy bag, especially for Ziploc bags. And I also found gloves. These are made of fabric and a cheap plastic pen case, which I don't know why I have them, but they won't be thrown out. I will put them elsewhere where I can see them and figure out where to store them eventually or how I can use them and why I need them. Finally, the plastic bin is empty and I gave it a good wipe down using wet wipes and some tissues. I also went through some of my drawers to find other things that I can place into these zippy bags, and I saw my personal sized Franklin Covey hole punch that I purchased in 2013 or 2012, I think, at the Franklin Covey store in Makati City. Yes, there is a Franklin Covey store in Makati City, and I will place their address and contact number in the description box. And finally, everything is in their proper places. Each category has its own enclosed and labeled zippy bag, and I simply put them back inside the storage bin but in vertical order with the labeled side facing forward like so. It barely fit, but I made everything fit, and now as you can see, it's so easy to find anything here from now on. I'm glad I finally did this. Now this box no longer terrifies me, and whenever my son needs something, I can actually tell him it's in the box inside the zippy bag labeled this or that. Previously, when he asks me, do we have this or that item? I would say, I think we do. And then we rummage around my entire room and also in this chaotic storage box just to find that thing. It's so stressful, you guys, you cannot believe, but now everything is okay. And that is my video for you today. Thanks for watching. Bye.